Hey, everybody, this is Simon Rosenberg from Hopium Chronicles, and we have our third interview in the series of interviews we're doing for the 12 House candidates that we've backed. The 12 House candidates that, if they win, they will flip the House and make sure that MAGA goes into the dustbin of history. And these are critical races. And so far, the interviews have gone great. I appreciate it. And all of you have been very excited about this series. We've raised over $300,000 for our 12 candidates in just a few weeks. It's been really a remarkable response to the effort to raise money for these open seat and challenger candidates. I often say that, when people ask me, where do I put my money? Where's the dollar best spent? I always say that it's an open seat or challenger House race. Your dollar goes furthest in these races. These are the people that need the most money. Many of them are in large media markets where the costs are significant. And so all of you have been very wise with your investments, I think, because this is where, in this critical year where we can't waste a day of volunteerism or any money, that these races are high impact. And so with me today is an intrepid candidate running in Arizona 6, Kirsten Engel. She is, I'm going to let her introduce herself. I mean, she's got a great story to tell. This is a very competitive district. We should be able to win if she gets the resources that she needs to win. Welcome, Kirsten.
Well, thank you so much, Simon, for having me.
Yeah, listen, it's really the basics. Talk about your district. Where is it? What do we need to know about your district? Tell us about your opponent. Why did you go crazy and run for Congress? I mean, all the things that you can tell us today, but welcome to Hopium Chronicles and take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for the opportunity to tell my story. And, you hit it on the head. And this district, I think, really fits exactly what you're talking about. It is a highly competitive district, but a district that we can win and add a seat to that Democratic majority that we need and make Hakeem Jeffries and bring functionality back to the U.S. House. So I'm running for Congressional District 6 here in Arizona. It's southeastern Arizona. We call it the Gabby Giffords District because the Honorable Gabrielle Giffords is really probably the most well-known representative of this district and absolutely fabulous person supporting my campaign along with her husband, Senator Mark Kelly. I am an educator. I moved to Arizona 20 years ago with my infant daughter to teach at the University of Arizona. And I'm also a former state legislator, served in both the Arizona State House and Senate, and I'm a mom. And I also ran for this district in 2020 election, the midterms, and missed winning by one of the closest margins in the country. Missed winning by just about 1%, 5,232 votes. So an incredibly close race, and I was outspent 6-1. So I am running again. We now have somebody in that office that just does not reflect the district. He ran as a moderate, but he has been anything but in Congress. I call him a MAGA enabler because his voting record has been very consistent with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Everything from voting against reproductive rights to voting even against clean energy here in Southern Arizona and rejecting bipartisan border solutions in this border district. So this is actually a seat that a district that Biden won very narrowly in 2020. It is on the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee's red to blue list. It is considered a toss-up district. And actually last quarter, our fundraising has been going up as people see this as a winnable district and they learn more about our race and our campaign. We actually outraised our opponent, Juan Ciscomani, by $500,000. So to the extent I know that your listeners were part of that, and I want to thank all of them out there. What we're trying to do this quarter is eliminate the cash on hand gap that we still have with my opponent. But I think we can do it. People are riled up and they want to get this seat back.
Tell us a little bit where it is physically, and just describe where the district is. You said Southern Arizona. If you can talk about that a little bit. Yeah.
Arizona. And Tucson, Arizona, we have basically, central Tucson, eastern Tucson. We go north about halfway up to Phoenix. We take in the communities of Marana, Eloy. We go all the way up to Casa Grande, halfway up to Phoenix, a very rapidly developing area in Arizona. And then we go all the way south to the border. We don't have two cities on the border that used to be in this district, but we do have a long stretch along the border. So we cover 5 counties, a lot of Pima County, Pinal County, Cochise County, and Graham and Greenwood counties in Arizona.
When you go to the door and you're knocking on doors and you're talking to folks, what's most on everybody's mind? I mean, what are you hearing from people about their concerns, their things that they're actually happy about? I mean, what are you hearing from folks on the ground?
I am hearing people just really be concerned about reproductive rights and healthcare. You may know that our Arizona Supreme Court recently brought back an 1864 criminal abortion ban. It was repealed by the state Democrats very narrowly. It could actually still go back into effect. It leaves in its wake actually a 15-week abortion ban with no exceptions. But this is just unacceptable to people here. They are shocked and outraged that decisions over their own bodies, their own health care, their own future should be made into political decisions. And I firmly believe that these are issues that should be left to the woman with her doctor, her family, her religious advisor, and these should not be decisions that are made by politicians. So that is, especially that 1864 law coming down, has just really rattled people as they think, wow, a politician could dictate whether or not I have access to abortion care or reproductive care. There is going to be a initiative on our ballot in November, it looks like, that would guarantee these rights in our state constitution. There's an awful lot of support for that. And what people are saying is that my opponent has been somebody who wants to take away those reproductive rights that we have relied on. He cheered the repeal of Roe versus Wade. When the Dobbs decision came down, he has been a reliable vote in Congress for restricting abortion. Even though he said, let's leave it to the states, he has been voting time after time again for national abortion restrictions, restrictions on the availability of medication abortion, restrictions on the ability of our military members to have abortions. And just last week, he voted in committee to take away the ability of federal employees to have access to IVF. That's 32,000 people in Arizona alone that he ripped those rights away from. So this is an extremist that just doesn't reflect this district, and people are upset about that. So I'd say hearing about abortion rights and just healthcare at people's doors is number one. People are just very, very upset with, just the lack of attention or progress on the issues that they're dealing with by Congress. So, people here are, a lot of people are struggling with high cost of groceries. Housing has been very expensive. Rental costs, housing costs, availability of healthcare, and issues of the environment, especially water. We are facing drought conditions on the Colorado River. We've got real issues with groundwater, especially in this district. I'm actually an environmental attorney, so I can't wait to dig into working on those issues. So people want a functioning Congress. And my background, I served in the Arizona legislature. I had actually a reputation of a law school professor who does her damn homework. Because I just want to, my reputation, open door, I'll work with anyone on these issues. So people want a working Congress. They're sick of the dysfunction.
Do you think that Kerry Lake running again has made it easier for you to make the argument that your opponent is an extremist? I mean, is there a sense that the Arizona Republican Party has sort of lost its way and gone too far as a backdrop to this race?
Carrie Lake is, she is a outwardly facing extremist, and she's very open about it. She says, crazy things about how she continues to insist that she won the election when it's so clear that she hasn't. I do think that the fact that she was defeated, that we also defeated other extremists, from the person who was running against Senator Kelly, the opponent for the Secretary of State, for Attorney General, the very open and kind of loud MAGA extremists have been defeated in Arizona. I think that is making people feel like, wow, we actually can change this state. And I think it now is putting a spotlight on people like my opponent, Juan Ciscomani, who are not as obviously, and they aren't quoted saying, crazy things, but vote reliably for all of those MAGA extremist policies. So Juan Ciscomani has endorsed Trump. Trump has endorsed him. He's taken extremist positions on abortion and other issues. And, we have now learned that, he's got actually a long history of extremism. He was the founder of the Arizona chapter of something called the Patriot Academy. And I don't know how many of your voters, your viewers may be familiar with this organization, but it's basically a Christian militia organization, a Christian nationalist organization that trains kids as young as 11 years old in how to use handguns, doesn't believe in the separation of church and state, and is interested in rewriting the Constitution to make this a Christian nation. So that's extreme. That is not the pluralistic society that is welcoming of all viewpoints and a democratic future. And I think that says a lot about where this person is coming from and why they're a bad fit for Southern Arizona.
I was lucky enough a couple of months ago to be a speaker at the Maricopa County Democratic Party annual fundraiser, and it was just within 2 weeks of the 1864 Supreme Court, the Supreme Court's decision on the 1864 law. And the event raised more money than they'd ever raised before. I was there early at a reception beforehand, and the passion and the intensity that I felt in that room, I mean, people were fired up. I mean, this really seemed to have really woken people up to the stakes of the game, right? To the stakes of the election. And the room was energetic. The speakers were lively and passionate. And it gave me a sense that, this 1864 decision really may have fundamentally changed the stakes of the game for many voters, and for many, also for activists, for people who may be making extra phone calls or knocking on doors or giving a little bit more money, that it kind of fired people up. I mean, are you seeing that in your work, in your, canvassing and the work you're doing on the ground? I know it's getting a little hot there now, but I mean, how is the sense of the family coming together for you on the ground?
Absolutely. We are we're 5 months out from the election, 4 months out from when ballots drop.
Yeah.
And you can just feel it in the air. People are opening up their doors when we come down their driveways to talk to them. As we have been carrying around the abortion access ballot initiative for collecting signatures, I've had people basically pull it out of my hands. They want to sign it. They really want some control over these issues. And I think, in this country for a long time, people have known that there is a lot of people that are anti-abortion, but I don't think anybody really expected the Dobbs decision to take away 50 years of having that control over our reproductive rights, and to just see what kind of can of worms that opens up in a state here in Arizona with this old law, 1864. A time, it was during the Civil War. Women didn't have the right to vote or even own property. And the very concept that that could come back into effect, I think, has been really jarring to people. And they are fired up. They're like, this is unacceptable. Why are these politicians telling me or my daughter or my niece or women down the street what can happen with their own health care? It already seems to be having an impact in terms of our ability to attract healthcare providers and doctors to the state. I'm a teacher. I teach college age and law school age people who I want them to come to Arizona. I want them to enroll in my classes. I want them to stay here and contribute to our state. And yet, what are we telling them about the future when we have just narrowly missed having an 1864 criminal abortion ban go into effect?
One last question for me is that, Arizona has been one of the most fortunate states in the country in terms of the investment, the big three Biden bills that is pouring investment money into the CHIPS Act and the Infrastructure Act, and the IRA, as we call it, which I like to describe as the climate bill. I think it's a better name for it. That's my name for it. But Arizona has really benefited from the huge investment in the state in the last few years. Do you think that that's well understood among voters when you talk to them? I mean, is there an understanding that the economy is really booming in Arizona and that people have more opportunities now than they may have had a few years ago? How's that playing out on the ground?
It is absolutely the case, but I think we need to do, a better job in terms of getting that word out. It is something like $10 billion is coming into the state as a result of that, as you say, the climate bill. And that's not just federal money. A lot of that is private money.
Yep.
That is coming in because that there is that federal investment. So we have new battery manufacturing. We're bringing manufacturing jobs, back to America and back to Arizona. And it makes so much sense that it's here in Arizona, that it's in clean energy, since we have, over 300 days a year. I think something like 350. It's very sunny and hot outside of sunshine. And it just makes so much sense for Arizona to be a world leader in solar technology and renewable energy. These are good paying jobs. They are jobs, many of them do not necessarily need a college education. And a lot of them are increasingly union jobs. And it's really something that can really increase and help our economy, especially as we are dealing with other challenges, such as, the water crisis. So this has been an incredible thing that the Biden administration, working with a Democratic Congress, got done. And the other thing, there are a lot of seniors in our district in Arizona that come here for our way of life and our warm weather. And the Inflation Reduction Act, and for the first time having that ability to negotiate the price of prescription drugs and capping the cost of insulin, that's a real game changer and really helpful to the bottom line of so many families, their budgets, and to so many seniors in the state. So those are the kinds of things that we need to just continue on working on. We absolutely need to get the word out. Whenever I talk to people about it, they're like, wow, that's incredible. We got to get you into Congress. We got to get more. We got to flip the House to make sure that it's controlled by the Democrats so we can get more things done like that.
Well, when I was in Phoenix for this dinner, I took an Uber, and we drove by one of the plants that were being built in its early stages. And I just said to the driver, I hadn't talked to him and I didn't out myself as a political person. And I said, wow, that's an enormous facility. I mean, do you know what it is? Is it one of these new chip plants? And he said, yeah, it's a new chip plant. This guy was probably in his mid 20s, late 20s, right? And he said, it's a new chip plant. And he said, I'm driving an Uber now, but because I just quit my other job and I'm taking a little break as I try to find my next job. But the reason I was able to do that is because there's so many jobs in Arizona right now. And he said, I had the confidence that because of I mean, he literally, this was not a joke, right? What I'm saying is he said, literally, because of these kinds of huge investments that are going on here, where people clearly see Arizona as a place to come put their money. He said, I quit my job because I knew I could find another one. And I'm on the verge of accepting another job. It will start in a few months. And then in the interim, I'm driving an Uber, which is not what I normally do. And then he said, if you live in Arizona and you can't find a job now, he's like, I don't know about if you're ever going to find a job. He said, everyone has a job if they want one. And it was like a TV commercial, right? And it was incredible. And I said, that's all happening because of Joe Biden and the bills that Congress passed. And he sort of said, I'm open to that. Like he didn't make that, to your point, that connection was not there in his head to all this stuff that he was seeing, the prosperity that he was feeling, the opportunities that he understood were in front of him, and a series of choices that Democrats made to make all that happen. And that's one of the reasons why it's my general belief that in these very close states, these battleground states, and as you may or may not know, we've made fundraising for Ruben Gallego also one of our biggest priorities. We've raised $200,000 for Ruben, and I talk to Ruben all the time. He's a dear friend, and he's running a great race. But I think in places like Arizona, you said it. I think one of our opportunities as Democrats is to make that connection between the sense of investment and opportunity that people are feeling and our policies and who we are. And there's nothing better, I think, for us as a party, in addition to all the things we've discussed today, reproductive freedom and extremism. We need to be, what makes us best as Democrats is when we're the party of opportunity and upward mobility. And I think that I was really struck in Arizona when I was there about that sense of opportunity and that money's coming in. And yeah, it's causing rents to be hard to find an apartment, and housing costs a little bit too much, but it's also in part because things are growing so fast and things are doing so well, right? And I think people have an understanding of that. I don't think it's all gripe. I think there's a sense that things have gotten better, and we know this from polling data, right? That a clear majority of Arizonans believe that things have gotten much better in that state in the last 2 years. And I think it's one of the reasons I'm confident, and I feel that we're going to win this election at the presidential level, because people do understand that things are better where they are. And the thing is, that's where Biden is running. He's running in 7 states. He's not running in a national election. And in all 7 states that he has to win, a majority of voters in those states believe that things have gotten much better where they are and where they live. And so, it was really a kind of a very eye-opening moment for me. One of these fortuitous things that happen is you talk to real people, right? And it's one of the reasons I left my trip so optimistic about our ability to prosecute our case, to make our case for ourselves, and go out and win this thing in the coming months. And so, any final thoughts for folks? I know we're hitting time, and I know how busy you are. Any final thoughts for everybody before we go?
Well, I just like to say, I mean, I think you really put that beautifully. You really hit the nail on the head. And I think that, that's one of the things that attracted me to Arizona. As I said before, it's a dream come true to come to the state for me and my family. We have absolutely loved this place. It is a very it's an open, welcoming society. It's a beautiful place. And there is real economic opportunity here. And I think that what we're in is people are seeing that opportunity and seeing what they could accomplish and the things that they could do with their lives and for their family. And yet we are hitting up against the extremism of people who are in office. Some are just running for office. And people are saying, that's not what I want. I want the opportunity that is being offered by the Democrats, by Biden and by other Democrats such as us. I don't want those extremists that are trying to take us backwards. So I'm on the side of forwards, not backwards. And I thank all of your viewers for their support and to you for highlighting our race.
Well, listen, everybody, this is really important. I mean, Arizona, as those of you who are Hopium folks know, we have 3 states that we're really over investing in that are our battleground states that we've chosen, and they're Arizona, North Carolina, and Nebraska, which is the blue dot, that extra electoral college vote where Tony Vargas is also running. My wife's from New Mexico. We used to vacation we were a spring training family, right? We'd bring our 3 kids to Phoenix and Tucson when Tucson still had spring training teams, right? I'm dating myself, right? Because unfortunately, it was all consolidated. I used to like driving down to Tucson.
Back. Maybe
I know. We would go to the Desert Museum, with our kids in Tucson, one of the most amazing places.
Outdoor museum.
Our kids love that place. I mean, it was so remarkable so Arizona is one of my favorite places in America. I've enjoyed, our whole family has enjoyed our time there. And I've been lucky enough to spend a lot of time there over a long period of time. And I'm very proud of what the Democrats have been able to do to take what was a lean, red state and turn it into a lean blue state now. We have enormous opportunities in this year because of the extremism of the Republicans in the state, as we do in places like North Carolina. And with great candidates like Kirsten, right, we're going to bring this home in November. So thank you for running. Thank you for being part of our series. Thank you for the tireless hard work that you do to be a candidate. It is grueling work, but as you know, the stakes are high. It's why we're all fighting with everything we got and leaving it all on the playing field, because this election really matters. And so, folks, I hope you'll consider donating to our 12 candidates or to Kirsten separately. You have a choice. You can either make a direct donation or support all 12. And hopefully we'll hear back from you in a few months and get a check-in as you go out and win this election in November.
Absolutely. Engelforarizona.com if anybody's looking for more information about us. But thank you. I'd be happy to come back and give you all an update.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good luck. Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.